Smart and Muse is where we talk about what makes me laugh, makes me cry, makes me happy, makes me sad, or just really ticks me off. Well, this is something that made me laugh, it made me cry, and it made me happy, and it ticked me off, but only in the best sense of the word, because there's lots of betrayal and drama, and we are talking about Red Dead Redemption 2, possibly the best video game I've ever played. Now, full disclosure, I've barely played any modern video games, but I finally got around to playing it, and it was amazing. And here to talk with me about it is the man himself, Stig Kenobi, or Stig Marston today, playing...
no, that's Arthur, actually.
Arthur. Oh, Arthur. I'm sorry, not Marston. It's John Marston and... oh my gosh.
Arthur Morgan. Also, you muted yourself, possibly with shame.
I did mute myself for shame. It is Stig Morgan, a.k.a. Stig Kenobi.
Yeah, without the tuberculosis, hopefully.
Oh, yes. Oh, gee. Yeah, we got some stories about that. Well, you are from the future. How's the future? Is it any better?
Just kind of a gray day.
Okay. So you don't have any future to tell us about world peace or anything?
Nah. I think people just need to calm down. I mean, war in the Middle East happens all the time.
That's true. I guess it's a day that ends with why. Well, Stig, you have played Red Dead Redemption 2 how many times? I mean, for the past 10 years?
Well, I didn't play it right away, I think. I waited a little. But I've replayed it, or other... I think I've beaten it 7 times, maybe 8. That's from start to finish. I usually end up on at around 85% on the completion thing.
Yeah. And sometimes you just start it up and play just to go around hunting and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I've been doing the last 4 or 5 times. I'll just start it and get to chapter 2, and then do some missions to unlock the hunting and whatever, and just ride around and kill animals and craft stuff. Just it's actually very, when you've beaten the game a couple of times, it's a very good game to just relax with. Just ride around and do stuff.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've been doing a lot of that in between, even though I'm kind of going through the chapters. But playing it the first time, I started it on April 18th, and I completed it about May 25, 26. But in between, then I'd gone on vacation. So it's hard to tell that the exact amount of time it took me to play it. But it was very much like watching a movie, a miniseries. It was incredibly dramatic and immersive. And yeah, at the end, I cried like you wouldn't believe it. And I remember telling you, because we were talking while I was playing it, and I'm sitting here crying. And I'm like, I just missed my chance to go viral, because all those people that you see that made videos of themselves crying on YouTube, it's like I should have set up a camera, because it really hits hard. And the first time is when everyone else starts in. It's just something about that music when he's doing his last ride and he takes out his hat. And then, of course, when he goes into the great beyond. Now, I played High Honor, so I got the happy ending there. If there can be a happy ending to it, needless to say, there will be spoilers for the story. So if you don't want to be spoiled.
Yes. Satisfying ending.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, well, he dies from tuberculosis, or rather, that's not necessarily what kills him if you do the High Honor, because it's probably internal bleeding and all kinds of other things, right? From that.
Yeah, but he was definitely,
yeah. It certainly didn't help.
No.
But Modeled after Doc Holliday, apparently, because both Arthur and Doc Holliday die when they're 35.
Oh, I didn't catch that. Of course, the obvious thing about them being having tuberculosis. Now, did Doc Holliday though have a big redemption arc the way that Mars?
Kind of. Didn't he help White Earp?
I'm shamefully not too well aware of the
Yeah,
story, real
he
stories, or
certainly has one in the Tombstone movie, but that one takes liberties.
yeah. Well, and like all the Wild West characters, from the very beginning, they were taking liberties with them with those dime novels. So no one really knows, in many cases, what is the truth about this. But what makes it so compelling with Arthur Morgan is he starts off as a not so nice character, though he had occasional good qualities, and he goes through a complete transformation that by the end he's like kind of making up for his past crimes as best he can, and he essentially gives his life at the end to give John and Jack and Abigail a chance for a better life. So he definitely
Well,
goes from point A to point B.
that depends on how you play it,
Yeah, if you
because
play high honor.
if you play low honor, he'll actually get worse.
Wow. I don't know if I could handle that. Yeah. So for those that may not recall, you have a chance to play high honor, which will determine the ending. So if you do like good things, if you do unselfish things, if you help people, if you even say hi to people in different places, then you will get higher honor. But if you do bad things like kill the innocent, do a bunch of robbery and murder, you will get low honor. So that but it doesn't make sense. We've talked about this for it to have the low honor ending because it's called Red Dead Redemption. So if he doesn't get redeemed, how can it be a redemption?
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm going
I've
to say
seen the
hi to
voice actors.
Pickles.
The voice actors have pointed that out too.
Yeah. Yes. And that the voice actor for Arthur Morgan believes that the high honor is the only proper ending. The high honor without stealing going back for the treasure, which doesn't make sense either. Because if you're dying, you don't need money.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's really good. And so what the story is, it's based on this gang that's being led by this Dutch Vanderbilt, or however you say his last name.
Vanderlyn.
Thank you, Vanderlyn. Oh, the Vanderbilts are something completely different. Dutch, and he has this gang of people, but they kind of try to tell themselves they're like different than a normal outlaw gang.
Yeah,
So,
I'm thinking they are, but they also aren't. Maybe not maybe they used to be,
mhm,
because apparently that they did used to actually feed the poor, kind of Robin Hoodish, right?
mhm.
But um, uh, in this game, and probably for a little while before the game starts, it had changed a bit, you know.
Yeah,
But which is which is logical, isn't it?
yeah.
Greed corrupts or whatever.
Correct. And they even bring up in the game that you can't continue to do bad things like robbery or even killing people without it rubbing off, that you just can't keep doing that and say you're a good person because it
Yeah,
changes you.
yeah, and you kind of see it in those little segments where you can have those little psychology talks at camp. Arthur will
Mhm.
talk to one of the women, and you can see that, yeah, he gets it. He's not doing good things,
No.
you know.
Yeah. And that there's things that are always objectively wrong. And we know that there's something, a big mystery. The game starts right after something disastrous happened at Blackwater. And we know that somebody got killed that shouldn't have gotten killed, and that somehow Dutch was involved with it. I believe it was Jenny. Jenny was the one, right, that he killed, or was he killed another innocent person?
No, it was Heidi McCourt, who
Okay, I'll
was a
trust you on the
lady.
names.
Yeah, it was Heidi McCourt. She was a lady who was present when they robbed the ferry at Blackwater, and apparently Dutch blew her brains out. And Micah was the one who urged him to do it. So, by the looks of it, if you piece together the information, it was kind of do it or get caught, kind of
Yeah,
like she was blocking the way, not moving out of the way, or something like that. Um, but that's what really put the Pinkertons on their asses, because she was a young mom and stuff, and yeah, Dutch just blew her blew
yeah,
her
blew her
brains out.
away. Yeah, and that is something that, killing an innocent person like that, that's kind of going over to the dark side. And you see Dutch is always a little vague about it, and there's a lot of talk about what they had to do, what they had to do. But a lot of the characters, including Arthur Morgan, were not there when it happened. They showed up afterwards, so they don't know the truth. And this is kind of haunting the game throughout. And then slowly, as you see Dutch being revealed as a villain, especially toward the end, that he betrays them all, it just makes you wonder, was he always like that, or was it brought out, or was evil made, not born? It's a very fascinating question.
Yeah, I think because he is not like that when the game starts, because when they find Sadie in the opening, he immediately wants to help her, right? Doesn't have to
Yeah.
do that at all, yet he does. So I think what's left of the old Dutch is what we see in chapter 1 and 2. Sorry, chapter 1, 2, and maybe 3.
Hmm.
But it changes. He gets more paranoid as the news tightens more, right?
Yeah, the Pinkertons get on his heels, and we know that the Pinkertons try to enlist uh, Morgan to go onto their side, and they're wondering if there were other people, or even if there were people that agreed to be on the side of the Pinkertons against them.
Yeah, likely. There was a rat before Micah became a rat,
Hmm.
because he's running around talking about how he thinks there's a rat in the gang, and this is after he's become one. So uh, there was one there before, pretty sure, because that's the thing with the Blackwater, disaster was uh, Dutch and a couple of others say that, yeah, the Pinkertons were waiting for us. It was organized, you know,
Hmm.
because there was so many Pinkertons there and lawmen, and that doesn't just happen.
No.
So someone had ratted them out, and someone did rat them out at Saint Denis as well. Definitely, because all of a
Yeah.
sudden there's Pinkertons everywhere.
Yeah, and your
Uh,
theory, of course, is that it's Abigail.
yeah, I think it's Abigail. She's the only likely candidate, really. Um, but it wasn't Micah until later.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, Mike
hell,
is
Micah might not even have been a rat. It could have been just something the Pinkertons told Arthur to,
true.
divide and conquer. They could have said to Micah that Arthur is a Judas, right?
Yeah, it could have been going all around. For all we know, this is something that just popped into my head. Maybe the Pinkertons had made contact with Dutch.
Uh, they might have, but he's the one they wanted.
Oh, you're
You know,
right. They would have just captured him. He
yeah,
wouldn't have.
because they
Yeah.
show up at that camp near the lake, and they basically say, "Yeah, we just want you." That's because he killed that chick at Blackwater.
Yeah. And once you kill someone in innocent person like that, you really can't go back. But there were also several things about Dutch that just sat wrong with me that they were planting in our heads. Why was he going east instead of west? He kept saying we need more money, and Hosea, his kind of sidekick in his conscience, if you will, was like, let's just go west, we'll be fine, we don't need to get more money. But for some reason Dutch just insisted that they stay where they were like in danger. And I don't know, is that where the greed is coming in, that you're thinking that he just smelled too much
Mm,
money?
I think he believed he was invincible,
Mm.
and so he got cocky. And I think when he gets injured in that tram robbery in Saint Denis, there's like a little moment there. You see him kind of, he's all serious and he's bleeding and stuff and rubbing his head. I think that's when he realizes, oh shit, yeah, I am mortal, right? And
Mhm.
that's when he starts getting really damn paranoid too.
Yeah. There's also a theory out there that combined with it that he got some sort of head injury, and once you have a head injury, that can change your personality.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've got all this going on. So this is what you're kind of jumping into, while there's little side missions. Like, for example, Arthur Morgan is the enforcer for their money lending business. And ironically, that's what gets him his tuberculosis, because he went to a tuberculosis patient and was intimidating him. And it's really gross, but the tuberculosis dude spews blood all over him on his face. And then that's how he gets tuberculosis. And he even says later, the irony is that literally his lifestyle led him to this death, because that's how he caught tuberculosis. And if he'd been more merciful or not been a lone shark enforcer, that wouldn't have happened.
Yeah. Arthur's basically the muscle.
Hmm.
He's the main thug uh, early on. Um, and later on, he starts doing the hunting and all that stuff. And he doesn't know how to use a bow. He doesn't know how to skin animals and all that stuff. I'm
Hmm.
thinking that's because someone else did it before, which is probably Mac Callender, who's mentioned a couple of times. Because if Arthur did that before, he wouldn't have had to learn it in this game, would he?
No. Oh, you're right. Yeah. And of course, Matt Callender, he was somebody that was killed. No, he was killed after the Blackwater thing. He was captured by the Pinkertons, but we still don't know. I mean, did the Pinkertons shoot him, or he ended up injured? According to one of the Pinkertons, he actually had him mercifully, if you will, put down. But
Yeah,
we
what had
still don't know what
happened
happened.
was uh, both him and his brother got shot during the robbery. But Mac made it out of Blackwater
Hmm.
somehow. We don't know, but he didn't make it out with the rest of the gang, right?
Yeah.
And the Pinkerton guys said that they caught up with him later, and I think it was 3 days later, and he was all shot up when they found him, and then they gave him a mercy killing, apparently. And apparently, Calendar didn't talk because they tried to interrogate him.
Yeah. So he stayed loyal, and it's your theory that if they ever do a Red Dead Redemption 3, or your hope that the story will be about Mac, or is that the one you're thinking is most
Yes,
logical?
because I noticed a pattern in it. It's like every character, with a couple of exceptions, only have one dialogue where they mention Mac, and none of them are asking around. Do you think he's okay or blah blah blah, right?
Yeah.
I think that's because he was supposed to be in the game, in the gang, and he got cut. So they just glued on a certain amount of lines to each character, right, about him.
Hmm.
And because I noticed in the trailer, I think it was the third trailer, you see a shot of Hosea talking to the gang in front of a campfire, and you see this kind of blonde guy sitting there, and it's not one of the other gang members. It's only like a glimpse, and I'm thinking that was Mac, but he got cut for whatever reason, and probably because they think maybe he would be a good protagonist in the next one.
Ah, which would be pretty awesome. Now, if they're doing it, they better be doing it and keeping it secret, because they did the same thing with Red Dead Redemption 2. They didn't say that they were doing it until they made the announcement.
Yeah, but it's pretty much a given that we're getting a third one because the first the second game, right? It just broke bank. It
Yeah,
made a shit ton of money in just the first weekend. You know, they were like already they had already made money in just a few days.
yeah. And this is said one of the most successful video games I think ever released, and it was definitely universally acclaimed. The Reported Lifeform is here. He says that he preferred Red Dead Redemption 1. He played that first, and that John Marston's story pulled him in more. And he didn't finish the second one. He only did like the first chapter, but he does concede that it said
Well, look,
when I get back into it, I'll try to do it. Games take too long to play through nowadays. Yeah, it did take a long time, and that everyone tends to say that Red Dead 2 is better than Red Dead 1.
yeah, both are great, but objectively, Red Dead Two is better
Mhm.
in every way, really. But if you if you only played the first chapter, that's basically a tutorial. So the story hasn't really kicked off. But like you said, it takes a long time to get through this game. So you need to invest time in it. Simple as
Yeah,
that. Which
yeah,
you don't really have to do with Red Dead One because that one you can beat in like 10 hours
yeah.
if you just do
I
the
did.
story.
Yeah, I went through that one pretty quick. I didn't do a lot of side missions and
Yeah.
things. Yeah. Now
Red
Biggles
Dead
met
2
he
is more like, well, if you know what you're doing and you're only doing the story missions, you'd probably get through it in 50,
Mhm.
maybe. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a while. Biggles is talking about Red Dead Revolver. Is that an online thing? Maybe.
no, it's the first game. It's kind of like an action game, and you play a guy who looks very much like John Marston. So I think Red Dead Redemption is kind of a loose reboot of that because they kept the look for the main character.
Okay. Oh, yeah, and Biggles is explaining it here, and he says it's where the character's name is Red. Hmm, let's
Yeah,
see.
he gets he gets a brief mention, I think, in Red Dead 2. I think Uncle mentions him or something.
Yeah. Oh, well, wow. There you go. And Norpoil says he got to the town. Mud Brawl was where I got up to. The character gets drunk. Is that the one with Lenny, or is that the one with where he fights the big guy in the saloon? I can't
That would be the
remember.
Mud Brawl. Yeah,
Oh,
that's very early on.
yeah. Yeah. I would recommend sticking through it, but like I said, it's all up to you, because a game is what you get out of it. If you're not being entertained for whatever reason, it's like, yeah, it's much like TV shows and things. Like sometimes where they tried to say, oh, you need to give this a chance. It's like, not necessarily. It's entertainment. Um, so
Yeah,
there
I
we go.
I'd say the story doesn't really start to kick off until halfway through chapter two.
Yeah, you're like getting
You
to
know,
know everybody. Hmm.
yeah, it really kicks off once you do that fishing mission with little Jack, and then the Pinkerton starts to try to recruit Arthur. That's when the story really kicks in. Everything up until then is kind of missions designed to teach you the game, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I put this into the chat, but I want to also reiterate that we are going to be going through spoilers. So, no problem. If you don't want to be spoiled, you might want to duck out because we're going to
Oh
be
yeah.
talking everything about it. So I just wanted to say that. Now, many people though already know how it ends. Like I had known that he was going to. Here's the spoiler: 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. He's going to go to die of tuberculosis, but I didn't know the details at all. And just living through it was just so something else. And I think I told you while I was playing the second half, it was after I got back from the cruise and I got this horrible cold. Turns out it was the flu. And I'm sitting there coughing and coughing, and Arthur Morgan is coughing and coughing, and I'm like, we're both coughing together. And it's so every time he got sicker and sicker, I was really feeling it. It was like the ultimate immersion. So it was something else for me to go through. And who knows, maybe that was also why I was such an emotional mess at the end too, because I was sick and I was tired and going through all this. But oh hell, who am I kidding? I would have cried anyways. But it was something else to experience that. And when he finds out he's dying of tuberculosis, that also is a huge change in him, because I think up to that point he had felt a little bit immortal. And it was also at that time that he was doing some of those debt collecting, and he realizes how much he was ruining people's lives by doing this, because it was predatory lending. It wasn't like a legit business. And one of the people ended up, like the mom ended up in prostitution. Another person, like the guy either died, or I forget which one was the one where that really hit hard, like they had a little kid and everything. So he realized that what he was doing was wrong. And there's a really powerful moment as he's dying, because he's a typical kind of stoic Western kind of guy. Even though they have those little sessions with the ladies in camp, that's almost something that you don't have to do. But there's a nun that he helps, a sister with the orphanage or something. And it turns out that she is on her way to go to be a missionary in Mexico, which is something that is a callback to what happens in Red Dead Redemption 1. And as he's talking with the sister, he's just like, he admits, I'm afraid, that he's afraid to die. And it's so powerful, that moment. And the actor does such a good job. Thank you for being here, Biggles, rather. Thank you. You have moments like that where you just see the trajectory on which he is. And
Do you want to know how well it sold?
Sure.
In 2018, the year it came out, it shipped 23 million copies and
wow.
Earned $1.3 billion in revenue. By 2022, the sales had reached 50 million copies. And by March 2025, over 74 million copies. So by dollar sales, it was the best-selling game of the latter half of the 2010s. And the seventh best-selling game of the decade.
Wow. What was the first?
It doesn't say.
Oh, okay. But I believe that. And I think that that's why you saying and everyone's saying they've got to do a Red Dead 3. It would just be almost insane.
It would be stupid not to do it. But I fully support them in making sure they get it right. Oh, the highest selling video game is Minecraft.
Oh, understandable.
Yeah, and that one's released on everything as well. The second one is Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah, and it's the same company, of course, that does Grand Theft Auto. So they are on definitely a money train.
Yeah, Minecraft, though, blows Red Dead out of the water. because it has sold 350 million copies. So
That's
it's,
impressive.
yeah, and but the thing is, Minecraft, even kids can play it, so that really doubles the market, or triples it or whatever, and you can get it on handheld and on
Well,
any
yeah.
platform,
Yeah,
you know.
because you certainly don't want children playing this. It is definitely a mature game. It's got all the strong language that you would expect from it. It's pretty violent, but it's
Oh,
amazing.
they also toned it down. It was supposed to be way, way darker
Wow.
than than it ended up being. But I'm hoping they keep that dark stuff and put it in the next one, because games like these are better the darker they get.
Hmm.
There's plenty of room for humor, right? And there's tons of it in the game. All kinds of weird, funny stuff, even in the first game. Um, but I wouldn't mind the game getting darker, though.
Yeah. Well, this one got pretty dark. You told me when I started playing the game that you compared it to Lonesome Dove, and in many ways, you think it was equal to, if not surpassing, Lonesome Dove.
Yeah, as a Western story, if you look at every medium a Western story can be told in, I'm
Hmm.
pretty sure that if someone's gonna do like a, let's say if there's a debate on which Western TV show is the best, or rather
Hmm.
tells the best story, it would probably be a, a close tie between Lonesome Dove and maybe Deadwood. I think
Hmm.
that's a fair guess. But if we include video games and novels and movies to the mix as well, I would say that Red Dead 2 is at the top. That's my
Hmm.
um, personal opinion. But uh, yeah,
Well, it's hard
it
to
it
compare because they're in different genres. Like even something like Deadwood, which was a series, and Lonesome Dove, which was
yeah.
a mini series. So Lonesome Dove was one
the
shot,
thing
if you will.
the thing with that you can argue with Red Dead 2 is that the story, it also depends on how you play it, because if you play low honor, you're playing as an asshole and there's no real redemption, which means the story will suffer for it. If you
Hmm.
play high honor and you get the so-called good ending, it makes perfect sense and the story is objectively better. But and Lonesome Dove and Deadwood don't have that. You know, that's a that's all set in stone. Plus, with this one, you have a story that spans, I don't know, 100 hours,
Yeah.
rather than Lonesome Dove, which is what, 5 hours?
I think it's a four-parter, so it's about 8 hours, about 7
Yeah.
hours, 8 hours.
So 8 hours versus 100 hours. The story that takes 100 hours has an advantage, right?
Yeah.
Because there's more in it.
Yeah, I definitely think the emotional impact and how powerful it was, especially, following the whole story, and if you will, completing the story with Red Dead 1. I did them in chronological order, not release order, obviously. I think that definitely it is equal to in power. What would need to happen, and is my wish, if they were to do a limited series live action of Red Dead Redemption 2, it would be amazing if they did it properly. If they did it properly, it could
Yeah.
be unbelievable.
Uh,
Absolutely unbelievable.
I'm thinking it would need a season per chapter.
Maybe not like the first. Well, I don't know. I think that they
Well,
could do the
not
whole thing.
not not the not the stuff up in the snow. You know,
I s
they could have
yeah.
like 2 or 3 episodes there, and then do the rest of, or rather combine it with chapter two, and then yeah. But
I'm of the
I
opinion they could do it in 12 episodes if they did it right. If they had good, tight writing, they could do it. Just
oh
sticking.
the whole game.
I think so. Oh, not the part
Um,
with John. Not the part with John.
no,
The
you'd
not
have
the
to get
epilogue.
rid of the epilogue. But yeah,
But it'd be amazing though. If they chose to do it, I think that it could be done incredibly well. I don't know if
yeah.
they
Well,
will. I don't know
here's
how
the thing.
rights work.
I think you'd need more because there's that whole thing with the Indians too.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe
Um,
do it like in three seasons. Like what they're doing with The Last of Us, of course, The Last of Us, they totally messed up. Well, Last of Us messed up in
no.
the game too,
Well,
so we can't even.
yeah. You know what's fun about that? Remember when the the fans of the game got pissed when the second one came out and screwed
Yeah.
everything up? And all kinds of people bashed them. Oh yeah, gamers are just nerd raging and they're toxic and blah blah blah. The people who said that got pissed when the exact same story points happened in the show,
Yeah, exactly.
meaning that the gamers were actually justified. You
Yeah,
know,
because the story was off. Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of
Yeah, so you mentioned it a little bit about Sadie. Now, Sadie is also another very interesting character. She goes through an arc where she was a woman living on a homestead with her husband, and her husband got killed by the bad guys. And she starts off being like very traumatized. She's in mourning and all that. And then she switches from that to like she's gonna just become this killing machine and revenge, and
well.
she becomes a beast.
She's basically Arthur's story in reverse
Mhm.
because
Yeah,
Arthur softens and she hardens.
yeah,
It's like a parallel.
yeah, and it's really great to watch. It's something that you
Yeah,
don't necessarily see coming, and when it does, and it just makes complete sense. So again, if they wanted to do a TV show, they wouldn't have to worry about inclusivity and stuff. I mean, this is all naturally there. It's naturally part of the story. And she's an amazing character. And you have many other characters also that you get very attached to that die, and they die very suddenly. That's, I think, where sometimes, yeah, some of the Lonesome Dove, it reminds me a bit. It's like they'll just be there and then boom, they're gone, which is very
yeah,
realistic. That's what happened.
yeah, and it's not any kind of spectacular, heroic, sci-fi fantasy death.
Hmm.
It's very gritty and real, and it's just boom, shit. This guy got shot in the head. He's gone now.
Yeah.
You know, which is better, I think, because the Boromir death has been done, no pun intended, to death.
Uh huh.
Oh yeah, this guy is so skilled, ergo he needs to kill 50 people before he dies, right?
Yeah.
Something like that, where usually not how it happens.
No. And outlaws don't have happy endings.
Yeah, which is actually Joe Abercrombie's books are much like this.
Mm.
Nobody has a spectacular death. Heck, one of the main characters from an earlier book died in a later book by someone just had enough of this asshole, and he just chops him in the back of the head with an axe.
Hmm.
That's it. He's gone.
Yeah, that's it. Your number's up. Well,
Yep.
I'm in the process of watching Deadwood, and everyone knows this is not a spoiler because it's history. That Wild Bill Hickok, the way he went to the great beyond, he had this poker player that felt like he dissed him, and while he was playing, the guy just came up and boom, and then that was the end of Wild Bill Hickok. That there, it can happen at any time, any moment, and it's not necessarily spectacular or anything.
And not just that. Wild Bill did diss him.
Oh yeah, I mean he did. Okay, enough, but he did. But still, the guy had it coming because he was always trash talking Wild Bill. So a classic example of someone who can dish it out but can't take it. But in any case, it just shows that this world is like that. I always tell people whenever I would watch these westerns, or even with Laura Ingalls Wilder, where they would talk about the people who would give up and go east, go back to quote unquote civilization, and it's like, yeah, they had the right idea. I would have done that in a heartbeat. Well, I wouldn't have even made it out there. Yes, aces and eights, the dead man's hand. Yeah, there we go. Yes, it was very, very classic dialogue that he.
The the dialogue in Deadwood is it's
Not
almost
politically.
Shakespearean, done crudely. Does
Yeah,
that make sense?
it does make sense. It's very good dialogue, but yes, even for me who doesn't run away from bad language, sometimes for me, I'm like, whoa, this is a little much. This is a little much, but it's it's just I guess the way it is, and it wasn't a pretty world, and it wasn't a pretty thing to be around that kind of environment. But Red Dead Redemption 2, it shows that really well. It also shows what is it that I thought they really did a good job with it. Well, the how do I say this? The fact that if you didn't hunt, you didn't eat, and that that's part of the game is that you're supposed to hunt or bring provisions to the camp, and if
Yeah,
not, they'll give you hell.
yeah.
And
You know what I would have liked in that game though is that if you didn't do the hunting, it actually would have had more of a consequence. You know?
instead of people just bitching at you, because they would just give you hell, wouldn't they?
Yeah, but then again, you wouldn't want to force people to do it either, right?
Yeah.
So I can see why.
Yeah,
I can
because it's
see a
kind of like
compromise being made there.
yeah, because it's almost like a side mission that you can do, and that's one of the parts of the gameplay of this is that you can do hunting, and then if you do certain kinds of hunting and get what they call 3-star, which is like a perfect pelt for things to improve the camp, which will also give you better honor, but also you can go to the trapper and get a lot of really cool hats or different kind of outfits with the different kinds of ones. So that's also an incentive that I think is a lot of fun.
I think if you don't donate stuff to the camp, so the camp is in really poor condition and all that, you get different dialogues between the gang members, whether they're arguing more, stuff like that. I've never done that though, because I actually enjoy improving the camp and hunting animals and.
But the rabbits, they are such a pain in the butt because they're the hardest things to kill and kill perfectly because they're so small and they keep moving. And if you hit them, you usually hit them in the wrong place. So they're my bane of existence. I'm very cranky with them right now. And of course, you can also not just get things crafted, but you can go to the different stores and buy a lot of different clothes. You can go to the barber, get haircuts. You can give yourself your own haircut, and or not haircut. You give yourself your own shave, and play around with that.
I think maybe that bit was maybe something they took from The Witcher 3. Because you could cut your hair and Gerald's beard would grow over time.
Oh, that's true. You're right. Now that you mention it, and I have played Witcher 3 took me forever because I wasn't as invested if I couldn't have been. Mad Dog Conrad is a hint. I go to the Bison Hill with the rolling rock for perfect tides. Bison Hill, I need to look that up. Yeah, because definitely if you're
Oh
up on
yeah,
a hill, it's much better.
it's it's near Emerald Ranch, isn't it? It's like a little hill there with bisons all the time.
Oh, well, there we go. I can look that up next time I play. Probably I'll be firing it up after we're done with the stream. Yeah, and Stig had a place that he told me where it's good to safely kill the wolves. You get up on a real big hill quite far away, and there's always like wolves that are playing around, and one of them will be a 3-star, and you're able to get a perfect pelt there. They also have legendary animals to hunt. My favorite ones to hunt because you don't have to worry if it's a perfect pelt. And then you take the legendary ones to the trapper. And I don't know if there's an achievement. There's not an achievement for getting all the legendary characters, is there? I don't
No,
know.
no, there's it's because there's no quest with it. The ones that can give you an achievement is the ones that have a question mark, like the fishing guy
Hmm.
and the the guy who tells you about the cigarette cards. And there's
Yeah.
one guy in Saint Denis, the guy you save from choking, wants you to help him build that weirdo thing.
Oh,
Uh, yeah,
the like
those three.
Frankenstein thing.
Yeah, and also the
Dinosaurs.
dinosaur bones and the guy with the weird carvings. All of those have those question mark missions. So if you complete one of them, you will get the achievement for having completed a collectible uh, thing. But there's nothing for it with legendary animals. Maybe there was, but it got cut.
Hmm. Yeah. Mainly, it's just fun that you just feel a sense of achievement when you get them all. With the legendary fish, that's how I myself got the achievement, and I enjoyed that. I haven't yet collected all the dinosaur ones or the others. I mean, some of them are a little too much. I guess I could get on a YouTube video and do it, but those are something that you can do to make it a little more fun. Also, yeah, yeah, you're right about the cigarette cards that you can collect and see all about. But there's so many different versions of them that I found that I never really could make any headway with those. There's treasure hunts. Treasure hunts are good, and you can get some gold bars that will really help you get your money up fast and get the camp's money.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I do whenever I replay it. I do a couple of those treasure hunts early, you know,
Yeah. Hmm.
and then I continue the story until it unlocks that ledger thing so you can build stuff, and then I get through that Hosea mission, which unlocks the fence, you know, and
Oh yeah,
once
that one's really important because yeah, if you get the fence, that's where you can sell a lot of your stolen stuff with no questions asked.
yeah, it actually is fun to just ride around and explore basically off the grid and look for dinosaur bones or those carvings and actually do it blind because you
Hmm.
can just ride around and go, hey, that little mountain peak over there looks a bit like it could have something, right?
Hmm.
And just go and look. Sometimes you'll find weird stuff that you've never seen before, even if you don't find what you're looking for, right?
Yeah.
Apparently you
Hmm.
can see a ghost train and a UFO in the game too. I've never
Oh,
seen them.
yeah, like weird, wild stuff. There's a meteor too that hit somewhere.
There's two or three of them actually, and at one place you can also find a Viking helmet that you can wear. Um, and there's a weird kind of like a someone's made letters with a couple of trees or something. So I think it says why. or something like that. And if you go there at a certain point at night, you'll be hit by lightning.
Ooh.
I have no clue why that happens, but it's, boom, you're dead.
Huh.
So
Wow.
it's yeah. And there's a cave. You can talk to the person in the cave because the cave is high up, but you can't see the person. And apparently, he claims to be a Bigfoot.
Oh, cool. You see, I need to go into some of those. Yeah, and then there's didn't you say there's a possible time travel with the guy who's looking for Gavin? There's this Brit who's going around asking everyone about it.
Yes, and I saw a theory that it's tied to those, those weird carvings the guy wants you to find. Because if you look at those carvings, they're very bizarrely sci-fi. So
Eh.
something weird is going on there.
Yeah. Well, cool. And eventually I'll be as I keep playing it more and more, I think I'll get to some more of the weird and wild stuff. Yes, hello. Thank you, Wheel One Nation Gaming Clips. Thank you for being here. Yeah. So there's a lot to do. So that you don't even have to go through the story to enjoy. I was seeing a YouTube video where people are often just stick around with the chapters 2 and 3, like where I am right now. I'm on chapter 3, I believe. And that's kind of like the most fun to just sit around and play so you don't so you can enjoy
Yeah,
all the side missions and things.
yeah, and especially chapter 3, you're conveniently located near the middle. Because you're in the
Hmm.
roads area.
Yeah.
So, well, middle in terms of uh, middle,
Location.
but not center, right?
Yeah. Now, luckily, you can
You,
travel
you,
to certain places to get to some places faster, but also you can use the train or the stagecoach. You pay money to get to other locations as well if you want to quickly get to places.
yeah.
You, yeah, to fast travel, you have a map that you eventually get after, I believe, I forget which mission it is, but
No, you upgrade Arthur's tent.
yeah, oh, that's what it is. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, when you upgrade Arthur's tent, then you can fast travel from the camp, or you can go outside of any town or even the camp where no one's around. It's a quote unquote wilderness, and set up a camp from the menu, and you can fast travel from there. You also can sleep that way and cook and craft food, bullets, medicine, etc. You can get achievement doing 3 of those, I believe, and also it's just good to do. So helps you out.
yeah. One thing I think they could have added, it's just a little practical thing. Um, a razor and a mirror, so you could actually shave while camping
Mm,
instead of having to go to because you can do it at camp, but if you look at the setup for it, it's just a little mirror thing.
mm.
You should be able to put up something like that outside.
I agree. And they would have had something like a shaving kit, a Western person that they would have carried around with them.
Yeah, you see it in Western movies all the time. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but
I like.
that's just like it's it's not that the game is any kind of worse for lacking it, but it's like a little thing I could see them improve in the future. You know,
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be that big of a that big of an implementation. Heck, they could even add it with a patch to the game, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think. Well, or if you're listening, the game company that does this is what we want. And I'm sure that they have paid attention because when I played Red Dead Redemption 1, I saw a lot of things that they improved in Red Dead Redemption 2, like some things that were
Yeah,
really annoying in that.
yeah. It was improved all over the place. I'd say. Um, Not that Red Dead One is bad,
Mm-mm.
but it is a bit clunky at times. Some of it, and it works once you get used to it in Red Dead One. But it's still once you play two, you realize, okay, yeah, the especially when you want to turn the horse when you're riding, that's
Yeah,
rather slow in Red Dead One, but in Red Dead Two, it's way more fluid. You know?
I agree. That was one of the most annoying things for me were the horses. Though it was easier to get a new horse. You didn't have to go buy one. You just had to kind of whistle and a new one would come once yours got killed.
Yeah, it just summoned the horse out of thin air, which was kind of fourth wall breaking because you realize that there is a game feature rather than any kind of realism. While
Hmm.
in Red Dead 2, if you lose your horse, you're out of a horse. You have to steal a horse or do something or get back to a stable and buy one.
Yeah.
No way around it. And I actually prefer that because it's, losing your horse should suck, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's why it was so serious to be a horse thief. Hello, Adega. It was a
Speaking of
capital
horse
offense.
thieves, there's a Dega.
No, no. That was not a sequitur. That was it was a coincidence. Yeah. And the once I did, I found myself really in trouble. And yeah, I went ahead and stole one. But what was really funny was some guy was riding by and I was like, I'm taking your horse. I'm going to steal it. He's like, I just stole this one. And then he started shooting at me. I'm like, oh my gosh, it was an outlaw. And I was able to take it from him. It was pretty fun. So, yeah. Well, there is a feature that's a little bit unrealistic. It's a not a perk, but it's like something you buy in for your camp that you can summon your horse, so any horse to the camp. So
Yeah,
there's a little bit of that, but you have to be at the camp. And that
yeah,
all your
or
horses are at every stable. So like
yeah. You
you could
basically have access to them.
yeah, so you could
That's the
leave your horse
practical.
in Valentine and still go to the stable in Saint Denis and he'll be there.
Yeah,
Another wild thing that I'm actually doing for the first time is the vampire. That there is a vampire hanging around Saint Denis, and he had left like these really weird messages, and you've got
yeah.
to find him and I guess try to kill him.
He's also not a real vampire because someone tested. Someone managed to hog time, and apparently it's almost impossible to do because he's really quick.
Hmm.
But someone managed to do it and rode around with him on the horse until the sun came up to see if he caught fire, and it didn't.
Oh, well, did he sparkle?
No.
I know. Well, maybe in this world they don't die with the sun. You know how they'll do different rules for
Yeah,
vampires. Yeah, it's silly though. I agree. But well, so he's a fake vampire. So you have him, and there's also a serial killer story you can do, which is really disturbing. So you can catch a serial killer and
yeah, and
weird swamp people. I don't even know what they are. They're like feral human beings that live in the swamp.
yeah, and you have that cannibal. Those cannibal siblings. I assume they're cannibals.
Oh yeah, those weirdo. Yeah, they're siblings, but they kind of act like a couple who have this pig farm, and yeah, they lure people in and kill them. You know, that's pretty sick. So yeah, there's a lot of really quirky, disturbing things going on. So you're in a Western, but sometimes you might ramble into a horror story. Now, I didn't know about those weird swamp people. So I was coming along and I was hearing a woman crying and like asking for help or something. I'm like, oh, because usually there'll be people along the road you're supposed to help. And she just turns around and like starts ripping my throat out. I'm like, what the hell? And I die. I'm like, what was that? I thought at first it was a zombie, but then it was explained that no, it's not. But yeah, you can have that. Also, the alligators, like if you're in a swamp at night, it'll be like Jaws. That happened to me once because I fell out of the boat and that that thing just pulled me under like the first scene in Jaws with the chick out in the water. So that's also pretty creepy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dig Outlaw points out that sounds like actual history. Those are stories based off of true Old West stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely they've done the research. I mean, it's amazing. I actually have a book that goes through that I'm going to be reading soon. I'm on Audible. I'm got it. So,
Yeah,
Red,
there's, I think, Valentine, the town, is
mhm.
loosely based on Cheyenne, the way Cheyenne looked in, early on. I think it was Cheyenne.
Yeah,
And Saint Denis is obviously New Orleans.
New Orleans. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, even the cemetery is almost exactly like it. Yeah, so
Annisburg was apparently very based on a real place because I saw photography. It was almost identical.
ooh, cool. Oh yeah, speaking of photography, you can also go in and get your photograph taken at various photograph places. In some towns have them. I know San Denis one. I forget what the other one is. And it's Shield Wall of Dragons is here. What's up? And he's like, such a great game, yay! So yeah, I played it for the first time and loved it and cried and cried. I'm now playing it through the second time because what I did was I played Red Dead Redemption 2, then I played Red Dead Redemption 1, then I went back to Red Dead Redemption 2. So
Yeah,
I did it all in chronological order.
I've played video games, I think, since the late 80s because I visited a friend and he had a Commodore 64.
Hmm.
And, I was like, shit, you can play a video game and play as Batman because he had a Batman game, right?
Yeah.
And I got hooked. And then uh, those were just, action based arcade games, right?
Yeah.
And shooters and whatever. And then my dad at one point brought home an old laptop. I think it was probably 1990. Old laptop with a black and white screen, and it had The Secret of Monkey Island on it. And I was playing it, and I was like, "Shit, they can do video games with stories,
Hmm.
right?"
Yeah.
I got hooked like hell, and ever since I've just consumed video games like that, preferably with stories, and even better if you can affect the story. So I probably played 1,000 different video games. I haven't beaten 1,000, but so I put in my hours. But objectively, Red Dead 2 is probably the best overall game I've ever played.
Mm.
It's a perfect mix between story and I don't know. It reminds me of the Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings movie trilogy. It just hit everything right.
Mm.
All the pieces just came together. The cast, the writing, all of it, and obviously a great deal of care went into this.
Yeah.
Yes, the Dig Outlaw. I think it's better than The Witcher 3. The Witcher 3 was uh, probably what I would call a perfect. Well, it is a perfect game too, I think. But up until I played Red Dead 2, The Witcher 3 was probably the game I would call the best ever made overall.
Yeah. Well,
But Red Dead 2 is better. But both are 10 out of 10s, right? So it's kind of
yeah. Well, the
when
emotional investment for me of the Red Dead Redemption 2. And, of course, you can't compare because it's two different entire stories, two different purposes. But I see what you mean. Yeah, yeah, objectively speaking, that.
Mass Effect 1. I actually started replaying that one. I wouldn't give it a 10 out of 10 because there's so many reused things in it. Almost every time when you go to like a planet and there's like an enemy base there or something, it uses the same damn map
Uh,
of the interior base. So it's kind of, you have to dock at some points for that, I think.
of
But
course,
it's still fantastic, though. It was awesome.
yeah. Well, and the thing about Red Dead Redemption 2, and you see it with like the actors and the people behind the scenes, because they weren't just voices; they also acted it out. They one of
Yeah.
the guy who played Dutch often corrects people, saying, no, I just need to point out that yes, we were the voices, but that was actually the smallest part of what we did. They actually literally acted out all of it. Also, the Western mythos that's part of just the popular consciousness and the music. I mean, the music is absolutely amazing. The soundtrack is available. You can get it on vinyl. Well, not new anymore, but and it's about $100. So I didn't get that, but you can get it digitally. The soundtrack is amazing. Everything just came together. It was like just the perfect storm.
Yeah, I think if you want to get soundtracks on vinyl and stuff, I think the golden rule is get it early
Hmm.
now because it's it tends to be a limited release.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
they're more expensive, but it's beautiful. I'm still debating whether or not I want to get it because it's red and it's gorgeous. I mean, Willie Nelson does one of the songs in it, and just it's
well,
just
it's not him.
beautiful.
It's not him singing. He's written it, but he's not the singer.
Oh, he's not. Oh, I stand
Yeah,
corrected. Okay, I just
yeah.
saw his name on one
It's
of the
cover.
tracks. Yeah.
It's the "Cruel World" song.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. There's a song written by Willie Nelson. Okay, Cruel Cruel World. That's the one. Okay, I not familiar with that one. All right. Well, there we go. What parts made you cry? He says. I did. Well, I never cried, but it definitely affected me. Well, I started to cry. His last ride. That was really emotional. I
which
wasn't as.
which ironically wasn't his last ride because he has to ride with John like 5 minutes later.
That's true, but you know what I mean, the epic one, and he hears all those, "You're a good man," the "Wish the world was a better place," and when he passed, and he's sitting there looking at the sunrise, and he sees the stag or whatever, and oh my gosh, I didn't cry when the horse died, though. A lot of people cry when that happens. I didn't. I wasn't really as affected by that, but
Almost cried when they did the oil wagon mission, though.
oh, that was with frustration. I was so mad. That really pissed me off. Well, and so did when I was trying to get that last fish in the swamp, and it turned out it was a thing that I had to go away for quite a while until it respawned. I was so frustrated. Shield Wild Dragon says I actually like most of the music from Red Dead Redemption 1 better. Oh, interesting. But Red Dead 2 has some real good ones like Fatherhood and Other Dreams. Music that plays when you help Mary with her father quest. Oh, yeah, Mary. Oh, yeah, we didn't talk about Mary is one true love. He helped her
Yeah.
out. She's a widow. Second chance, but it didn't make any sense because, she was like, maybe we can run away together and all that. And he's like, we can't. I'm a wanted man. And you'd be dragged into it. And back in the day, I guess he had a chance to give up everything for her, and he didn't.
Oh, you had a chance right there too. You know.
He did, but he does say, "But I'm a wanted man." Like at that point, that he knew that he had 5,000 on his head. So
No, he can. Well, when you do the date thing, he knows that. But the first time when he's helping her brother, he doesn't. He doesn't know about the bounty yet.
well, either way,
Yeah,
he saw.
Shield will.
He saw.
is right. You get that bit of dialogue when you're writing with the Indian, that Arthur had a
Oh,
woman and a son that got murdered. You know what? That line is kind of glued in due to cut content, because when they get out of the snow at the beginning, Arthur had a wife and a baby, and they were supposed to die at the beginning in the snowstorm. They were supposed to freeze to death, and they replaced Arthur's wife with Jenny, whom we never see. She was part of the gang, and she's buried um, up in the snow. She got killed during the Blackwater thing, or injured, and she dies in the wagon or something. That was supposed to be Arthur's wife that got buried, and then also the son.
hmm.
Uh,
I think it's a good thing they cut that because that would have affected him too much, and like that would have been
yeah,
have something he would have
that
had to have dealt with through the whole story.
yeah, that was part of what would have made the game way darker. So
Hmm.
they got away with it, but apparently you can find bits in the files of Arthur's wife, and also uh, some dialogue, audio files in the game, but you won't find it while playing. You have to dig around in the files.
Hmm.
So I guess you can only find it in the PC version. But yeah, Arthur's wife got replaced by Jenny. But
Yeah.
I'm guessing if they do what they did last time and go back, then Jenny will be probably an important character.
Hmm.
There is a drawing of Jenny in his journal,
Yeah.
but I bet you that was a drawing of his wife, because he has no drawings
Interesting.
of the other ones, right?
Yeah. So the whole story with his wife is just something that we know had happened in the past, and I'm assuming it happened after Mary, because Mary had been married for a while before she was widowed.
Well, I think they got rid of the whole marriage plot line. So if they go back and stuff, he Arthur won't be married. He had a woman who he had a baby with.
Oh,
That's
no,
what
I
it.
meant when Mary was married, because Mary like,
Yeah.
w
Oh yeah.
w Mary went off to marry someone else instead of him, that's what I
Yeah, and you also have Mary's brother mentions. Well, he asks if Arthur is still hanging out with Dutch and Bessie and Annabelle. Annabelle used to be Dutch's girlfriend. She got killed by O'Driscoll, like way back,
mm,
and Hosea was I think he was married to Bessie, and she died way back too. So there's a story there as well. But that means Mary and her brother has known Arthur and the gang for quite a long time.
yeah, and maybe has a very good reason why she's in.
Yeah, so they have a lot to work with for a possible prequel,
Yeah,
because John goes missing for a year, and he has actually just recently joined the gang again before Red Dead 2. So there's a whole year there where you can have a game with John when he's by himself somewhere.
yeah. Yeah, there was a reason why he left. One of them that we've talked about is the fact that maybe he figured out Jack was not his son and it was Dutch's son, and that it made him
Well, it's
mad.
it's Jack is definitely Dutch's son.
Yeah, but that John did, that John figured it out, yeah, and I didn't realize how obvious it was until I played Red Dead Redemption 1 when you see grown-up Jack looking at his
Yeah.
parents' grave, and then he turns around, I'm like, "That is Dutch." Absolutely.
Conroy, no, or novels close to this. Red, you mean similar novels? Uh,
I don't know.
um, I guess there are novels about outlaw gangs. Um,
Yeah.
it's actually tough to search for Western novels now, because if you do it on Google, you basically get novels written by Americans, not necessarily in the Western period, right?
Hmm.
So geographically Western. But I wish they had done little spin off novels in the Red Dead universe.
Yeah.
Yeah, Louis L'Amour does a lot of Westerns, but does he write about bad guys, though? Doesn't he write about the good guys more?
Yeah. I'm not familiar enough with him, but I know enough about Louis L'Amour that it's something I want to look into for sure. Yeah, we actually talked about that. I would like it to be turned into a series, like a limited
Yeah,
series of Red
a
Redemption.
movie would not work because
Too much.
you'd have to condense 100-hour story into 2 hours,
Hmm.
right? It would just be a rushed mess.
Yeah. Okay, and we didn't mention this. Thank you for bringing this up. Shield Wall of Dragons. He says you can visit her grave, Jenny's grave, up by Coulter, and not just Jenny's grave. You can visit everyone's grave. I forget how many there were, and once you do, you get an achievement. And the way I worked it out
Mhm.
was the final one I found was Arthur's grave.
Yeah, I think you only get the achievement in the epilogue because of
Yeah.
Arthur. But and what's his name? Eagle Flies. I don't even get why you have to visit his grave because he wasn't part of the gang at all, and John never really knew him. So why would John go there and visit his grave? You know?
Ah, it was a thing. Yeah. So yeah, you can find each one of them, and if you do the epilogue, if you go on the date with Mary, at the very end of the credits, you see her at his grave, or near the end rather, Mary visiting Arthur. And of course, his grave is the most beautiful. And what is it? I forget what it says on what does it say on his
Yeah, blessed are
grave?
the meek, or whatever.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
yeah, something like that.
Um, yeah, and I was very moved by that. I was so moved by it, I forgot it. And,
Yeah.
I
Oh,
think Blessed Are the Peacemakers
Conroy.
was on John's.
Yeah, yeah. Blessed are the peacemakers. Yeah, but Conroy in the chat. The movie, The Wild Bunch, and another one called The Long Riders. Uh, the writers of Red Dead took a lot of inspiration from both of those movies. The Long Riders is a very gritty telling of the Jesse James gang,
Mhm.
and the Wild Bunch um, has to do with a former gang member having to help track down the old gang. Right. The final shootout in that movie is nuts.
Hmm.
It's yeah,
Yeah. I did before we got into this next comment from Shield Wall, it says, on Arthur Morgan's, it's "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness." That's what you see on his. And the other one was what was on John's
yeah.
grave. But yeah, so that's very appropriate for him. Very appropriate for him. And Shield Wall of Dragons points out Rockstar really captured the essence of the American Southwest, just riding along and seeing the storm clouds and difference. Oh yeah, it amazing, amazing. Yes,
Yeah,
and everything about it, you really feel like you're being immersed into the story. Um, I just
that
love it.
mission is, I think, the only one where the gang. Well, maybe there's a couple more, but you really see the gang work as a team,
Yes,
all of them, and Dutch really shines in it.
badass. It's amazing. Yeah, that was really a cool moment. And since you don't want to be civilized, and boom, he just goes. Shieldwell thinks that Sadie's transformation might have been a little too fast. made the transition too quickly. Um, I can see, yeah, maybe, but I think that they just assumed that it would be in the background, that it was happening, and we just didn't see it.
It is in the background. You see it evolve a little bit in the conversation between gang members at camp, but it is a bit soon because the whole story, where you play as Arthur in Red Dead 2, takes 6 months.
Mm,
So it's maybe a bit soon, but
okay.
I don't know.
Yeah. Hey, Pale Rider, novel is on my list to get. Okay,
Pale Rider
good.
is a damn awesome movie, though.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be Clint Eastwood's last Western, but then Unforgiven
Mhm.
um, happened, and he couldn't not do it. Right?
Oh, no. I mean, how could you not? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's another really good Western. Let me see. Well, I don't think there's anything else. We're coming up on 90 minutes. I was going to wrap it up. Steve, is there anything else about Red Dead Redemption 2 that we haven't talked about that you would like to get into?
Um, this is yeah. This is easily missable, I think, because when you're playing it, you're focused on where you're going, right? Or who
Oh,
you're shooting at and stuff. But it's easy to not notice the insane amount of detail in the nature in the game, right?
mhm.
The waterfalls, the forests, everything. It's so well done. And I think this happens in a lot of games where people forget to just, hey, just pause and have a look around. Just enjoy the sights, right? Because you're so focused on the story or whatever task you're trying to achieve, right? So it's easy to miss, but there's an incredible amount of care that has gone um, into the graphics and the game world, because every time you see a little rock by the road, one of the graphics team people put it there,
Yes.
because whenever you start a new game, that same rock will be there, right? It's and I think that's the case with The Witcher as well. And both of these games, you know how people talk about open world games.
Mhm.
This game and The Witcher 3 are actually open. If you go into the cave, into a cave or into a building, there's no loading time. You actually just walk in, right? So the whole map of Red Dead 2 is one big three-dimensional thing, you know, with layers and layers and layers. But
Oh,
if you
I
play
didn't.
Skyrim, every time you walk into a store, the game loads because it loads a new map, little map of the actual store. So you can never seamlessly go in and out of a building in Skyrim or into a cave or anything, because Skyrim is just a collection of many, many maps, right? The only thing that's open is the main ground area, right?
Yeah. I didn't even think about that, but you're right. That's
Yeah.
almost
In,
kind of
in
annoying,
this,
Skyrim.
yeah, in this, the whole damn thing is wide open. No loading time. Same with The Witcher 3.
Yeah. Well, there we are. Shieldwell says I put 340 hours into it before I finished the game. Wow.
Yeah. Um,
Okay, and then I played Red Dead Online. It was fun, but they didn't support it like they did GTA 5 Online. Yeah, that's not something I've done or am familiar with.
I don't want to play online. Uh, I'm fine if if it's like a competitive, like a game of FIFA or a Call of Duty or Gears of Wars or something. But I don't want it in a story based game. Play with you know other people. It's just a preference, though. nothing wrong with people enjoying it or anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm cautious nowadays, but I don't know. I just enjoy what I enjoy. Now, I don't mind playing with people when I know them. Like once we did this thing, Steve, where we were able to play on the Conan game together, but that wasn't it wasn't like open to other people.
Yeah.
I forget how that worked, where you're allowed to have a
Yeah, you just set up a private game or something. So
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and Shieldwell's kind of saying yeah, we agree. Yeah, online is fun with friends. You can visit all the location to bound hunt stuff. Yes, exactly. Yeah. And Mad Dog Conroy, I haven't played the story modes, but the two online ones I prefer, just levels and buy stuff. Yeah, that's always fun. Yeah, Kona Exile's where you have your own server. Okay, that's it. Okay. I just follow directions when it comes to these things and just trust everyone knows what they're talking about. And usually that is more than the case. Alrighty, well, we're gonna wrap up this party. Steve, you have anything coming up?
no, I think it's in July. I'm doing a top 10 with Mara again. Top 10 movies, top 10 favorite movies from 2000, the
Yeah.
year 2000. So that's going to be, we took a month off because she's getting a new computer and stuff.
And,
So,
and she finally got it too, so she's been debuting it. She debuted it last Sunday. Woo.
yeah. But that's pretty much it.
Yeah, okay. So stay tuned with Mara. Yeah, no things this month because it's usually the first end or the second. I forget because she also does the good, the bad, and the weird, or whatever it's called now, worldwide weird now and then. So stay tuned to her. Yeah, I don't think Stig plays Baldur Gate 3. I think Stig,
No,
you have
I'm not.
issues.
I'm not touching that woke piece of shit game. It
Yeah,
uses fifth edition
yeah.
D&D, which is beyond dumbed down, and they did it for woke reasons, ultra woke reasons. So, no, broken lore, broken everything. I'm sure the gameplay is fine and all, but nope, no, no, no,
Yeah,
not
Stig.
touching it.
Stig lived through all that. Well, D&D and all that and everything that the Wizards of the Coast did, and, I know a lot of people enjoy it, and I always say, enjoy what you enjoy, but yeah, Steve, um, he's well, I definitely tend to fall on the side of it's just very unfortunate what they did to the lore and to all of that in the
Yeah,
5th
they,
edition.
it's. I'm not sure what to. I guess you can compare it to what's been done to Doctor Who
Mhm.
and Star Wars, maybe. Uh, they've actually done even more damage to D&D than Disney did to Star Wars, believe it or not.
Yeah, and it
Um,
affected the books, and it was very unfair to the authors. It really kinda
yeah,
screwed them
they
over.
shat on everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, the last good version of D&D would be 3.5, in my opinion. After that, it starts going woke. Um, and, one thing they did was basically because of lack of gatekeeping, right? You had shows like The Big Bang Theory and stuff, just got all kinds of normies into D&D because they wanted to be nerds too, right?
Mhm.
And people, poured in and started playing it and stuff, and then they started complaining about, let's say you play as a halfling, right? Which
Mhm.
is they're 3 feet tall, and they get a penalty to their strength because they're small, right? These new players started whining and complaining, saying that it was racist that their halfling character had a racial penalty to their strength. So Wizards of
Yeah.
the Coast got rid of it.
Yeah,
So,
that and the dark elves, they changed them
oh, they
because
changed the lore.
Yeah, the
Uh,
total lore of it, yeah.
yeah, now they can be just as nice as everyone else, even though they're inherently fanatic.
They're
All kinds of
evil,
stuff like that. And the orcs are no longer evil. That they also made demons not be evil.
which no.
Yeah, and I think they started getting rid of every references to holy, because you had a lot of spells that had like holy, holy word and holy whatever, because people were offended by Christianity, and those spells reminded them of Christianity. So they're basically pro demons and anti Christians. Uh, and it's really weird. And, I'm an atheist. So even I noticed that this is, wrong. Right. And tons of other things. It's, especially in the fifth edition, which the people who made Baldur's Gate 3 were forced to use, because if you make a video game, a D&D video game now, you have to use the current edition, you know,
Yeah,
um, to also promote, the rule sets, right? But
yeah. So
yeah,
yeah, Shield World Dragon says 3.5 is the last version I played way back in 2004. Yeah, and that's the
yeah,
version that we use when we play.
probably around the time when it came out. But it's fine if people play Baldur's Gate 3, but um, by all means. But it's hand holding galore. It's dumbed down. They even got rid of skill points in fifth edition, and the reason they did that was they literally said so, that uh, they didn't want their customers to have to do complicated mathematical whatever. I mean, you assign points. It's not that hard.
It's
You don't have to be a mathematical genius to do that. But apparently, their target audience are too fucking dumb to do that, according to themselves. They also stopped doing D&D novels. Back in I think it was the 90s and early 2000s, it kind of peaked. They had like 24 D&D novels released in 1 year. So it was Dragonlance, Ravenloft, Forgotten Realms, all that stuff. They've gotten rid of it. And Wizards of the Coast said they did that because they didn't want um, their customers to do homework. Like, if you're interested in Dragonlance and stuff, reading a Dragonlance novel is never homework, is it?
no, and you don't have to read them. That's the other thing. It
Yeah,
enhances it. It makes it
yeah,
fun. Like I had read the Dritz books, and then when we played D&D, after I'd read some of them and we went to some of those locations, it was like, "Ooh, that's cool." But it's not necessary. Like you can read the books and never play D&D and vice versa.
yeah. And if you're truly interested in something, you would want more of it, wouldn't you? If you're playing
Yeah.
D&D and the game takes place in a certain area on the Forgotten Realms map and stuff, and you go, oh well, shit, there's novels set to this. You would want to read them.
Mm.
You know, it's not like, yeah, I only want to know what's going on in my story, right? It's as shallow as it gets. I mean, why even remove the option? You know,
Yeah.
it's
And I think
probably, I'm guessing it's so people won't spot their lore breaking shit. You know,
well, or even simpler, they just don't want to do it. They don't wanna
yeah.
do
So
it, and maybe the writers don't wanna do it. I mean, look how they treated Salvatore. He finally finished up his Dritz, and he had to, like, borrow his own character. I forget how or whatever,
yeah, I
but
had to lease them and then get another publisher to publish them or something like that. Uh,
yeah. So they don't
it's
wanna do it.
well, basically what they've said publicly is that their new target audience are too dumb to read and too dumb to do simple math. There's no other way around it.
Yeah.
And if you complain, you're a racist. They literally said that too.
Yeah. Well, I remember how they basically slandered the original D&D people in their, um, prologue, and one of the last few ones that's alive was just horrified, and he's like, "I'm standing up for my friends," and
Well,
stuff, and
not just that, they went after Gary Gygax's son because he tried to start a kind of like a rival D&D ish company. Wizards of the
Mhm.
Coast immediately went after him and smeared him.
Yeah.
It-
They treated, I forget who it was, the other guy where they made a new edition of his book, and they didn't even ask him. I forget what that was called.
oh, it was Jeff Grubb. It was the Spelljammer D&D, which is kind of like D&D in space, kind of.
Mm,
Um, yeah, that he found out on Twitter that
yeah.
they were doing more Spelljammer, and Weiss and Hickman weren't consulted at all about Dragonlance.
Nope,
You know,
and they're the ones that basically made it, yeah, and they're very salty, especially, is it Weiss? Yeah, on Twitter, that she's not too happy with them, not at all. "You
yeah,
played
people.
Spelljammer."
Someone had asked her if she was going to play would you play the fifth edition Dragonlance thing? And she just commented, "No, I wouldn't."
Yeah.
Or no, no, she said, "No, don't do it," or something like that.
Yeah, it was pretty much that, and that was after they had that big lawsuit, and however that lawsuit got resolved, whenever she speaks of it, she doesn't speak negatively of it, so I think that maybe a non-disparagement thing was part of the agreement with them, but she does throw shade in general. Yeah, that's the thing, and, I don't know bunch about 40K, but I definitely know the fandom is pretty big on that, and I hope it's fine. To me, the way to do it is just to go backwards. Just go backwards, and you
Yeah,
can't go wrong on these things, and if you
do
get
that
a surprise,
every.
like Red Dead Redemption 2, well, then that's nice.
Yeah, yeah. Shieldwall is right, and here's the thing: activists will hire other activists.
Mhm.
So once you put a couple in a position of power, you've already fucked up your whole brand.
Yeah.
That's always how it goes. It's like an infection. Like it's like bacteria attaching itself to healthy tissue and then spreading. And then once the tissue is gone, they move on to something else. You know, um,
Yeah. Well,
I
look,
think
we
that
what we
I think that analogy is accurate. It sounds harsh, but it is what it is. But like Teresa said, go back. You know, let's say the Batman comics or whatever goes completely woke, right? Gets ruined. How many Batman comics are there
yeah.
from its conception up until now? I bet you don't have all of them.
Nope.
So just go back, thrift stores, eBay, start collecting the old stuff that's good because franchises like that are loved for a reason, and it's because it was good. You know,
Yes.
old Marvel. Conan is actually still doing well. It's been
They
left
stayed
alone by
in
the
Conan.
activists. So,
Yeah,
you
the
know,
Titan ones are good.
yeah, you're on a road and there's a pile of shit blocking your road. What do? You turn back. You don't wade through it.
Yeah,
You know.
exactly. And I think that people should support like the new Conans. And I haven't read the new Solomon Kane yet, but I have it. But I really trust them, and they have some good materials. And I've had blast reading the original Wonder Woman comics, the ones from the 40s during World War II. They're a blast. Oh my gosh, you did, you did, you did. I just went to Robert E. Howard's house in Texas. It was cool. I got to see where he wrote his stories. Yay. I did that too. I have that on my channel here. Wasn't that amazing to see that place? Oh, lucky. Yeah, it's in Texas. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's a very small, tiny town, and Was it during the Robert E. Howard days that you were there, or did you go there on your own? I'm just curious. Good times. Alrighty, well, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up this party. I already see what is going on, and oh, let's see. Yeah, Shieldwall Dragon says he wrote all that amazing stuff in a little room. Yeah, a little tiny room. It's
Yeah.
amazing,
And
isn't it? I
and
mean, the house wasn't even that big either. So good
one
times.
thing is that it's amazing and awesome what he came up with. Uh, and, but a lot of people tend to not know that his writing skill was incredibly high. That guy
Yes.
could write, and
Yeah.
most people seem to think that the Arnold movie, that's what Conan's supposed to be. It isn't. It's very far from the source material. Actually, it's an awesome movie, but the um, the source material is the Robert E. Howard stories. Simple as that.
Yeah, and they're really a blast. Oh, he says, "Oh, you went through during the Robert E. Howard days. Yeah. Oh, that's great. So you got to be there with a whole bunch of other people. Yeah. Otherwise, I think you have to privately ask for them to open it up. If you see the local area he lived in, you see its inspiration for a lot of stories. Yeah. I mean, oh my gosh, that's great. I'm so glad that you did that. I went to the Robert E. Howard days 2 years ago, which is the best way to do it because there'll be other fans there. And then there will also, the museum will be open and they sell a lot of his other stories. The boxing stories and people that just
King
really,
Cole, probably.
yeah, really know their stuff. So it's really good times. That's amazing. Well, I want to go ahead and share in my link here that I have changed, rather moved. That all of my Catholic material from here on out is going to be on a separate Catholic explaining channel. Though I left the Catholic explaining stuff that's already on this channel because I don't know if you're allowed to transfer between channels. I need to work that out. But all my new Catholic material is going to be going over there, and this is going to be more for nerd and other things like that. So if you want to subscribe to that, that is the link. Besides that, I probably will be doing another Wheel of Time review soon, the way I'm reading through it. So keep your eyeballs open for that. Definitely read the Wheel of Time. And we are still celebrating that Get Woke, Go Broke, that they finally did cancel it. Cool. I just thought, oh, well, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And let me see what else. I don't know, just any musings that will be coming up with me and morning musings and I might be able to do my early morning one soon because I'm going to be dog sitting and he gets me up very early. So, in any case, thank you all for being here. We had Shieldwall Dragon, Dorporial Lifeform, Adega Outlaw, Mad Dog Conroy, Biggles Mets, and I think those are the only ones that. Oh yeah, Red Waden Nation Gaming Clips, Snortopupus Kuber, and anyone that is listening now in the chat that's been lurking or will be listening on the replay. Thank you for being here. Have a great day, everyone. Have a great day, and be certain to play and enjoy Red Dead Redemption 2.